Emails HuffPost reviewed reveal Bill Wareham, the EPA's Assistant Administrator for Air and Radiation, gave a presentation in early February 2018 at an event organized by the Cooler Heads Coalition, an umbrella group of tax-exempt charities and right-wing nonprofits that includes some of the most ardent proponents of climate change denial. 3 other EPA officials, Associate Administrator Tate Bennett, Senior Counsel David Harlow and then spokeswoman Liz Bowman attended the confab with Wareham, the emails show. In an email dated February 6, 2018, Myron Ebel, who has led the Cooler Heads Coalition for more than 2 decades, offered gratitude for the EPA officials' attendance at the previous day's event, and invited the group to the next meeting a month later. Thanks Bill, David, Liz, and Tate, for coming to Cooler Heads and for your presentation and taking questions, Bill. It was most useful, Ebel, who led the Trump administration's EPA transition team, wrote. We look forward to seeing any or all of you at future meetings. The EPA declined to comment on the nature of Wareham's presentation and whether any officials attended other events with the Cooler Heads Coalition. EPA takes time to meet with stakeholders on a variety of regulatory issues, this is no different, said EPA spokesman Michael Aboud. Ebel did not respond to calls and text messages requesting comment. The revelation is not surprising from an administration that's attempting to eliminate or delay, by the New York Times estimate, at least 83 environmental regulations, particularly rules to curb climate pollution. The EPA is expected to announce a proposal next week to replace Obama-era power plants rules with a regulation that would, by the agency's own estimates, allow for enough pollution to cause up to additional 1,400 premature deaths per year by 2030. The fact that Bill went to talk to a group like this is the cherry on top of a toxic sundae, Joseph Goffman, a former senior counsel and associate administrator for climate who served in the Obama-era EPA, said by phone. It's the toxicity of the sundae that's really going to have the damaging impact on people's lives. But the emails show the degree to which top officials at the nation's leading public health agency have cultivated chummy ties with fringe conspiracy theorists, the Sierra Club, which released the records obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request, said in a statement, calling the relationship despicable. It removes any illusion that the EPA is acting in good faith to ensure the public trust, said Robert Brull, an environmental sociologist at Drexel University. The Cooler Heads Coalition formed in the late 1990s as mounting evidence of global warming began to fracture the industrial alliance that mobilized a decade earlier to downplay the threat of unfettered greenhouse gas emissions. A year before its merger with oil giant Mobil, Exxon gave $95,000 to the Competitive Enterprise Institute, the right-wing think tank where Ebel works, in a grant titled Global Climate Change Program and other support, according to documents published by the Climate Investigations Center. That's done little to sway Wareham. In January, he said he was still on the fence about climate change, telling E&E News, "I'm trying to figure that out." A former corporate lawyer who lobbied on behalf of clients to weaken air pollution rules, Wareham has ramped up those efforts since joining the EPA, becoming a chief architect of the Trump administration's deregulatory agenda. He remains in close touch with his former law firm, according to the Washington Post. It's not surprising that Wareham would have been featured at a Cooler Heads Coalition event, Kurt Davies, director of Climate Investigations Center, said by email. He fits right in with the roster of climate deniers and other charlatans that Cooler Heads has hosted at events over the past 2 decades. Related coverage: Republican efforts to counter Green New Deal show how far climate debate has shifted. Trump's bid to weaken the next federal climate report is likely to backfire. Jay Inslee proposes targeting climate deniers overseas with U.S. anti-corruption laws. Also on HuffPost. Love HuffPost? Become a founding member of HuffPost Plus today.